Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode under our new banner. Before I get started, let me express my deepest gratitude to everyone for putting up with us for so long. It's been a wild ride and we are truly grateful. On to the build. So we got the commission to do Dave's Roadrunner, about 6 weeks ago now. And insanely, we've actually done the car 3 times now. Don't worry, I'll explain all of that. Suffice it to say, though, there were complications. Anyway, so how do we do this? Well, we start like we always do, drilling the pegs. Now that those are out, I'll get the body into the goo, and I'm going to start immediately on the interior, grille, and bumpers. Now, since Mattel made the entire interior chrome, I have to sand down the chrome to make the paint stick a little better. I don't have a good clear shot of the interior, so it's going to be black. Dave, I'm sorry if that's wrong, but it looks black in the pictures. While I work on the interior, let me tell you a story. So when Dave first sent me the pictures, it looked as if it had a brown fender, an orange door, and a blue door. He then sent me a more recent picture that showed, there's a blue fender as well. That's not a problem, except that, we already had the video done. Damn it. Oh well, it's a learning curve. Let's get the goo off of this and then get it shined up and into primer. The second car was done pretty much the same as the first. I got the video very nearly done, and then my device failed. I think I lost 7 videos that day. I was not happy. So guess who got to do a third Roadrunner, which is this video. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to hand off the grill and bumper details to Foggy, but we've got to work on this hood. Now, as I understand it, this hood scoop right here is actually pretty common, but this isn't the hood that Dave has. Dave has that hood scoop with the 2 lateral fins in the middle. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but we need to replace this hood with that hood. But Vic, you ask, how are you going to do something that detailed? Well, that's why I have Tinkercad. You'll see that I'm sanding down the hood scoop to try to level out the hood. Initially, this was in an effort to actually add the hood scoops to the existing hood. Once I got the hood smoothed out, though, I realized that the metal was just too thin. I was definitely going to have to get a bit more creative. Regardless, the rest of the body needs to be polished up, so that's what I'm doing here. Other minor body details like the rocker panels are pretty easily remedied. Although the doors and one of the fenders are a different color, the rocker panels are the same color as the rest of the body, purple. Call it a stroke of luck or divine providence that this purple matches almost perfectly the paint that I used for the body. Speaking of that body, let's get it into primer. It was about here that I realized that the hood had to come off. Again, learning curve. You Mopar guys out there will know what kind of hood this is. Maybe leave it in the comments. Anyway, you slice it though, this hood's got to come out and that hood's got to go in. I do have a slight advantage with my grinding wheel on this particular hood. All I've got to do is follow the body panel lines. If you're wondering why I have the sanding block in my hand, well, these bodies tend to get really hot when you're grinding on them. It's kind of hard to both hold a body and grind on it while your fingers are cooking. And there we go, a de-hooded Roadrunner. Like any metalwork, you're never really done with it. The best you can do, especially at this scale, is get it as close as possible. To do that, I'm using my paddle wheel. Well, in the words of Derek Bieri, I'll be dipped. That actually looks pretty good. I'm going to need to do a little bit of sanding and grinding to make sure that the hood and the fenders meet up properly. This edge is still a little rough. There's not a whole lot to say right here, just a bit of tinkering with the edges and making sure that the hood fits. Enjoy the show. There we go. That's a pretty good fit. A little bit of sanding around the edges and we should have it. If you're wondering why there's suddenly more ambient noise in the background, well, my neighbor is, let's call him inconsiderate. I'm kidding, I love my neighbors. They're doing some pretty serious home renovations on the house next to us, so I guess I can't really complain. Well, the edge of the hood looks pretty good, I'd say. What do you say we get this thing back into primer? And we'll go immediately from primer into the purple paint. Well, that looks pretty good if I do say so myself. Let's move on to painting the rest of the body panels. Of course, we've got the blue door and fender on the passenger side. Now the door on the driver's side looks orange, but Dave was telling me that it's actually a rust oxide red. It looks orange in the pictures, but I'm gonna go with the color that he says it is, so rust oxide red it is. This is one of the other two Roadrunners that I had finished already. You see, I used an actual orange on this one, and of course there's the brown fender. And since I don't have a rust oxide red marker, I'm going to use a rattle can and I'm going to spray it into a bin and then apply it with a brush. Like so. I'm going to get a fitment test in before I put everything back together and put the wheels on. Yeah, that's really starting to look like something. I may or may not keep these wheels, we'll see. I'm just not thoroughly happy with them. And these decals, well, you'll see later on that I don't put the decals on the hood. There's a madness to my method. You see, even at its smallest print, my printer cannot print the 383 logo that's on the hood. Don't worry, as our processes improve and we get better equipment, that'll change. Check out this size comparison. Yeah, that's as small as I can make it, and the decals were still too big. I think that's enough complaining and yammering on. What do you say we get on to the glamour shots? Okay, I have to admit to a little bit of a falsehood here. That whole video was, in point of fact, how I took care of the car. I have to say, however, that I wasn't really happy with it once I got it onto the drag strip. So, here's the fourth car and the real glamour shots.